The Miami have a long offseason ahead of them, and on today's show, I am going to go through my perfect offseason for the Miami Heat. I am Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. There's a lot of moving parts for Miami as they look to rebound after that horrific season that just plagued with injuries. And honestly, just never got off the ground after missing Damian Lillard. Let's see if it can get off the ground in the offseason with my perfect plan. Before we get into it, though, I want to make sure you guys are doing your part to make this the largest Heat YouTube channel there is, and it is sharing the video. Click the share button, select the Twitter or X icon, click post to Twitter, tag myself at Nic_Rohloff, and if you tweet the video out and tag me, you will get a shout out on the next show, so please help us out and grow the channel. All right, number one on the Heat's perfect offseason. If you've been with me for a while now, you would know it is me getting the Spider-Man, Donovan Mitchell, into the 305. It's the best of both worlds, man. I believe he absolutely will be traded because they're going to lose to the Celtics. And, well, I'll say this. If they somehow beat the Celtics in the playoffs, he's not going to be dealt. He's going to stay in Cleveland. But they're going to lose, and I think he's going to ask out because he's not signing a long-term extension, and then he will be traded, and I need it to happen to Miami. He is so damn good. You watched him in the regular season do his thing, but we have always talked about on the channel about playoff risers, and Mitchell honestly has been questioned. People were saying that last year's 5-game series he lost to the Knicks, no good. He was a little rough in Utah as well at times in the postseason, but he showed out against the Orlando Magic. Absolutely put his team on his back in Game 6 and 7 to get them past Orlando into the second round. I think he would be a perfect fit next to Jimmy and Bam and potentially be Bam's long-term duo partner in Miami. So the trade that I would be doing is this, and it's unfortunate, but it's necessary. It would be, if you ever watched Marvel, by the way, it'd be Thanos sending Gamora over the edge to get the Soul Stone, because I just have to do it. But Jovic and Jaquez are gone. Hero's gone. You trade 2 first-round picks, 2030, and the 15th overall pick. It would have to happen on draft night, or just take a player and send him whatever you want. But the 15th overall pick in the 2024 NFL or NBA draft, NFL draft, my goodness, to get Donovan Mitchell. Would you do this trade, though? Type A for accept, type D for decline. I mean, I'm sold. I get if you guys are hesitant to give up all 3 young guys, but if you really want to try to commit to Jimmy Butler in this kind of build they have with Bam, I think you got to hit A, so let me know what you think. Number 2 might be a little controversial, but I'm trading Terry Rozier, and it's no knock on Terry. Like, I'm not blaming him for missing the time at the end of the year because he's been very good for Miami in the 30-plus games he played in the regular season. The only thing is, if you do number 1 that you just saw with Donovan Mitchell, you can't have Rozier, in my opinion. I think a Terry and Donovan Mitchell backcourt is sketchy. Like, it would not be good. They're undersized. Mitchell's only 6'3". Rozier's about that same height as well. They're both not average or plus defenders that need the ball in their hands to be good offensively. Like, I don't think that fit is there. And for that reason, if you're losing Jovic and Jaquez, 2 wings and 1 semi-wing big man, I would look to move Terry Rozier for a couple wings to replace Jaquez and Jovic. And I actually think I have the perfect deal for the Miami Heat. And I did not think this was going to happen when I started making this video. But this is how things shook out after looking across the league. I would trade Rozier and Thomas Bryant. Bryant's a throw-in to make the salaries match. But to go to the Lakers to get Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt. Yes, you heard that correctly. You get a lockdown defender in Jared Vanderbilt who battled injuries all year. And then you get Hachimura who can play small ball 4, but can also play the 3. Rui's about 6'8", and he had a pretty solid offensive season for Los Angeles. He actually ended up starting in the postseason against the Denver Nuggets as well, and actually was asked by Darvin Ham to play some one-on-one defense against Nikola Jokic at times. He was really good in spot-up catch-and-shoot scenarios for the Los Angeles Lakers. Vanderbilt missed a lot of times this year with injury and is a very bad offensive player, but he is flat out one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA, and you would have an unbelievably good duo defensively between Vanderbilt and Bam. and you get two athletic wings that can defend. Vanderbilt's not the offensive guy you'd like, but that's where Rui Hachimura is. You bring either Vanderbilt off the bench or Rui. The other one starts at the 4. You have Bam. You have a lot of versatility there. Vanderbilt can play way above his size in defensive purposes as well. A lot of people won't love Jared Vanderbilt because he doesn't play a lot of offense and is kind of a 4.5 on 5 if he's on your team. But he is so damn good defensively. He would help us take care of our problems with Tatum, Brown, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., if we had to play those type of guys in the postseason. It's an intriguing move. I'm curious what you guys have to say about it. But we are sponsored by Prize Picks, my favorite daily fantasy sports app because they make it playing so much easy and so much fun. All you do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And right now in the month of May, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can go to MLB. You can go to the postseason in both NHL and NBA. They also have League of Legends, Call of Duty. They have so many different things to choose from, which make playing daily fantasy sports so much fun. You can even go to the NFL. Yes, in May you can make some NFL picks for the long term, that is. I'm going more than on DeAndre Swift, 80 or 850.5 rushing yards, and more than on Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7.5 receiving touchdowns. A little 2-player entry here to win 3 times my money, but if I do hit that, you know what another thing I love about Prize Picks is? Easy and quick withdrawals. It really is so simple to pull your money out. The best daily fantasy sports app for a reason. Join more than 3 million users today by downloading the app and using code CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100. Or you can go into the description and comments of today's video. Click on that link, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. Number 3, after I make a couple big trades, there's going to be some guard depth needed. And I'll go to Delon Wright. You would still have Josh Richardson on the roster as well, but I would love to bring Delon Wright back on a vet min deal. He honestly was good for Miami. This was a season-long stats, but I don't really care about that because the impact he brings is not offensively. You're not going to expect him to go out there and give you 7 to 8 points a game. That just simply isn't going to happen. What he is going to give you is I'm not going to say elite, but I want to say really high-level defense, especially at the point of attack. Like, he is so good at getting an opposing ball handler's grill and making things uncomfortable. He also has a super high IQ on the defensive side of the floor. How many times did we count him coming on the weak side, not as the perimeter and the main defender, but on the weak side coming off, digging in and getting his hand on a ball, or a cross-court pass in the half court coming over and snatching it. I loved what I saw from Delon Wright. I think he wants to stay in Miami and would be willing to take a vet min deal, especially if the Heat are wanting to bring him back and are looking like a contender next season. Bring back Delon Wright, please, to be that 7th or 8th man off the bench at that guard spot. I absolutely love to have Delon back. Make sure you are subscribed, and I'd love to have you guys join the channel because we are going to have videos on the Miami Heat all year long. Doesn't matter if it's the offseason, if it's the regular season, we will have you covered. So subscribe today and join us here at the Heat Report. Number 4, and I don't have a specific guy, but you need to find a true backup center if you want to call this a perfect offseason. I think we can all agree that more size for Miami is necessary. Some of you think that it's necessary to get a starting center and move Bam Adebayo to power forward. I'm not willing to go there, but I am willing to agree with you guys that a backup center that is more defensive-minded is absolutely necessary. Now, I was with producer Coop here, and we scoured the NBA for a potential trade after making the first 2 moves and what the Heat can use Duncan Robinson's contract and some other guys to try to get a backup center. There really wasn't anything out there that made sense for the Heat and other teams. So I think you have to go into the draft, which you would still technically have a second-round pick, number 43 to be exact, but you could also look towards free agency. The top 3 guys that I think make sense that would fit Miami's system as well as financial ability is Mason Plumlee, Andre Drummond, and Drew Eubanks. Now, these 3 guys aren't going to be monumental moves, and you would probably need someone to sign in the vet min after you take in Donovan Mitchell contract-wise and where you're currently over the first apron team. But I think you can convince Drew Eubanks to take the vet min, and Maybe Mason Plumlee takes the vet min as well. Drummond would be kind of a hard stretch. I think Coop said he made $8-9 million last season, and he had a pretty good year for Chicago off the bench. So he's probably going to look to get closer to that $6-7 million range. So he might be too pricey. But Plumlee, experienced, hard-nosed guy, like he'll give you max effort, and he's not an offensive-minded backup center. He is a defensive-minded center. He can also pass the rock a little bit too. Really good, underrated passer. So Plumlee would be intriguing. Eubanks also would be a good fit in Miami. All right, to round out this offseason, it's extending Jimmy Butler. Producer Coop just gave me a wow. He didn't know that was coming up deck. But to me, when you trade for Donovan Mitchell and you make some of these moves, you are committing to Jimmy Butler's window. And this isn't a big window, guys. Like, I want to make this abundantly clear. A Jimmy Butler extension is not going to be a 4-year deal. It is a 2-year extension that replaces Jimmy Butler's player option in 25-26 right now. So what does that mean? Well, it would really only be 3 more years of Jimmy Butler, and he would be 37 or 38 after that extension ends. And, well, you probably aren't paying him that much money because he's probably fallen off a little bit. And then you can go all in on Bam, Donovan Mitchell as your duo of the future after the next 3 years of potentially having Jimmy, Bam, and Mitchell as your big 3. So, yes, I would extend Jimmy Butler. Make your star and franchise player happy by trading for Donovan Mitchell, giving him his money, and that would be the perfect roundabout to end this offseason. So one more time, let's run through it. I'm starting off by trading for D-Mitch, whether it be before the NBA draft in late June or on draft night for all that matters with the 15th overall pick being involved. Then I would trade Terry Rozier to the Lakers to get a couple athletic wings to replace Jaquez and Jovic as you lost them in the D-Mitch trade. I'd bring back Delon Wright as that 7th, 8th man off the bench. You still would have Duncan, and you would still have Josh Richardson in that backcourt as well to pair up. So you still have some guards on your team. I'd find a true backup center in free agency or the 43rd overall pick, but you can't really bank for a second-round player to really give you anything. So it's going to be tough to do that. And then I would extend Jimmy Butler to end it off and get your star player happy. Grade that Miami Heat offseason. If all 5 of those things happened and your starting lineup in that following year probably looks like a Donovan Mitchell, Josh Richardson, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy, Bam. You have still Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura in that potential offseason. Grade what you think that would be, man. I really like it. I really do. You have defense, you have shooting, you have scoring ability on all 3 levels. It's my perfect offseason, so I'm giving it an A+, but you guys can give me whatever you want. And make sure you do follow me on Twitter as well, at Nic_Rohloff. I'm bringing you everything on the Miami Heat. And let's say if any of those moves did happen, a re-signing, a cut, a trade, I'm going to have the news breaking on my Twitter first, at Nic_Rohloff. And then I'll hop on the channel to make a video. So follow me, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video. Go Heat.